Welcome to the Evolvepreneur AI Advantage Show, and I'm your host, Richard Wray. My mission is to help entrepreneurs understand AI and use it to their advantage. Join me today where we dig deep with our guests and get you the best concepts and strategies. Today's special guest is Dax Stanley. Dax is the visionary founder of multiple property investment companies and not just another name in the property investment landscape. He's an innovator, an author, and a technologist who has successfully married his extensive qualifications across various domains to redefine property investment outcomes. With the advent of ChatGPT and AI technology, Dax is pioneering a transformative approach to property investing. Today, we're talking about real estate investing with ChatGPT. Dax, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Richard. It's great to be on. Thanks for the invitation. I look forward to helping our guests today learn a little bit more about how we've been implementing ChatGPT for property investing for us and our clients.
Sounds good, and it's great to hear, something different from some of the standard stuff that we might hear out there. But Dax, the question I always ask my guests first of all is, where in the world are you?
So I'm in a lovely little place called Palm Beach in New South Wales. I love to surf, so I'm a 9-minute walk from my beach, my beautiful break. And every minute I get between meetings, I'm down there catching a couple of waves and then back up and wearing shorts and a shirt.
Fantastic. So 9 minutes too long, yeah?
Yes. Well, yes, correct.
No, I get you. Hey, Dax, so when I gave the introduction, you've got an amazing history. You've done so many different things. Give us a little bit about your background and how you've got to be where you are today.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey over the last 30 years. I'm turning 50 next year. And it's been quite disparate. And it's only till now everything's starting to come together. And it's quite amazing. I left university on a double degree of environmental science and geomatic engineering. And started working.
Nice, easy stuff, yeah? Very simple topic, yeah.
Yeah. And I went to present at a conference called VRML 97. So that was a virtual reality modeling language, which I did my honors in. At
I remember it well, yeah. I did work in that as well, yes.
Not many people do. That's fantastic that you know that. And I went over there to get my dream job, got a great job with Dell Computers, doing their 3D visualization. And a couple of months later, I got picked up by the Australian Defence Force. And that was a call like straight out of the movies. I couldn't believe it. They said, you need to come back for your country. And I thought it was a complete joke. I thought, no way. Come on. I nearly hung up on the guy thinking, it's a prank call. No. We saw you at the conference. You're the only person we know in Australia that knows VRML. And we need you to come back to Perth to work with the Special Forces, the SASR, to work on the counter-terrorism for the 2000 Olympics.
Now, at this point, your ego must have gone through the roof.
Just a little bit. I was stunned. And, 3 years working in that space was just amazing. Unbelievable. High tech, latest tech, Java 1.2 beta, Java 3D, amazing technologies.
And probably lots of things you can't talk about even to this day.
I think I've told you enough. Or I'd have to kill you. I'd have to kill you.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting. I knew it was going to happen. I'll take that step back. It's
getting a bit old now after 23 years. But look,
that Secrets Act.
That really, VRML, all the high tech stuff led me into 8 years in defense, doing a whole range of things. I did my master's in business technology to jump out of that arena because it is a small arena in Australia. And then started management consulting, where I started helping. I was called the firefighter. I would come into a company, analyze it, see what was going wrong, put new technologies in, do transformations, and turn them around. And that was fun to a point because I got to still touch new technologies. I like big projects. Yeah. So the NBN project came along, and that visionary, fiber to the home everywhere in Australia, 100 megabits. It was the dream.
So just for our international listeners, can you explain what the NBN is and was?
So it's a national broadband network, okay? And it was supposed to connect every single home in Australia with fiber or satellite to a minimum of 100 megabits per second. So this was the digital revolution of Australia. And I was in that company for 4 years, right from the start, and run multiple teams on the latest technology to revolutionize Australia. And I worked with some of the smartest people in the country to make this the most amazing technology.
It was an exciting time. I was around in that same sort of field, and it was astonishing to see some of the work that was being done.
Yeah, and people that were just so far ahead, like in the defense, brainiacs in just their niche. And I was able to pull them together and deliver projects. And so I loved that. And then stepped out of there and just to step back, in the defense force, in contracting, I built my first building. So it was a defense simulator. And it had it was a big shed, 40-foot dome inside with HVAC, which is air conditioning, data center, command center. And that's where I found my passion for property. It was a really weird way of finding it. Usually people invest and make money in it, but no, I built something and thought, wow, I love building this.
So you transferred basically from building in VRML, the virtual buildings, and actually making a real one, yeah?
Yeah, the virtual reality was inside the simulator. So I built the building around the simulator. So yeah, it was an interesting combo. So my journey of real estate there was then I started buying houses and renovating and pulling down the back and building and all this sort of stuff at the same time as working in the corporate life. So it wasn't until 6 years ago when I did a 4-lot subdivision and made more money there in 1 year than I did in my day job. And
that's amazing.
I'm out. I'm out. I enjoy both, but the thing was, I dropped my tech. I loved my tech. I loved all that sort of stuff, but I had the passion of real estate as well. So, it was fine, implementing a whole great CRMs and project management systems and all that sort of stuff, which was great. But it wasn't until November last year when ChatGPT came out where I got really excited. I've been playing with AI. We did route plan 394 for the first GPS route planning, and it was very rudimentary. Then I bought Mindstorm Lego. I don't know if you know the Mindstorm Lego. Yeah, where you can program it. It's a brick. So I downloaded an AI system that just went left, right, forward, or back, and had sensors when it hit something, and it self-learned. That was fun, but it wasn't really powerful until November. So November it came out, I go, great, I need some time to check this thing out because it sounds amazing. It's not general AI, but it's a narrow focused AI just on language. So I took off Christmas to New Year's and just deep dived into it.
So ChatGPT is probably the most famous, well-known of all the AI tools out there. As you say, there's been lots of other stuff in the past. But tell us about what was that first thing, that first moment when you tried using it during that time off, over Christmas and New Year's, where you went, oh my goodness, I can do something amazing with this?
Yeah, I think I really tested it and wanted to find the boundaries of it, firstly, you just jump on and have a conversation with it. Oh, okay, that's decent. Okay, let's see what sort of data it's got. Let's see if it's got persistence in there. Just, does it remember me? Remembers me in conversations, separate conversations. And then I thought maybe I could turn it into something. Okay, so I was doing a negotiation for a big development. I said, can you be my negotiation partner and we test out negotiation strategies? You be the seller and I be the buyer, and we'll negotiate on a price for this property. And I was astounded. It was amazing. It was so good.
That is really interesting. So let me just make sure I've got this right. So you were treating it as almost an instant chatbot, but as somebody who you would be working with in the future, potentially negotiating with, to try and practice and to get the right sort of language, the right sort of argument, to have the conversations with the real people.
Correct. Yeah. And that led me down this rabbit hole. And you know how it's quite branch focused with chat. So you can branch down into certain areas. So I could say to that chat GPT, okay, so now you're a really nasty, tough negotiator.
Yep.
Yeah. And you want me to buy it at this price. And these are some of the details about the property that are advantages that you can use, and try and get me to get to that price.
That's really interesting.
Astounding.
So this helps you prepare in advance for the real conversation, I suppose, in a very similar way, a similar methodology to when you were using VRML in the past and you were doing maybe the virtual reality situations to train people. So that same approach is carried on to now using ChatGPT.
Yeah, simulations within ChatGPT is amazing. You know, one quick story. My son's doing Year 9 exams right now, and I set up ChatGPT as I said, you are, to the ChatGPT, you are a Year 9 teacher, Australian teacher, and I am a student that's going for an exam for science in biology. Here's the inquiry questions. Here's the topics that were covered in the rest of the year. Now ask me a set of multi-choice questions. If I get it wrong, give me a detailed explanation of the answer, and then downgrade the level of the next question. But if I get it right, upgrade the question higher and more complex. Now give me the first question. And then I said to my son, come over here, sit down.
So at this point, it became a tutor that, depending on how successful your son was being, it would either make it a little easier and explain why, or it would make it a bit more difficult and keep pushing him to the limits of where he would be. And then if he hit his limits, try and help him beyond that. But it was a single prompt that would do all this, yes?
Yes. So you're literally creating a prompt that goes into a loop, self-managing, so it keeps his attention, because Year 9, 15-year-olds, they're a TikTok world.
Yeah.
He sat there for an hour and did 50 questions.
That's amazing. Yeah, that is a stunning result. 15, 16, is that correct, for Year 9?
Yep.
And to get that level of attention in a 16-year-old, very challenging. So very impressive. There's probably a lot of parents and teachers out there going, that's how I do it right now.
Oh, I'll use that. Yeah, you can use it.
So what's your approach then to writing prompts? Because I've seen people just think that they write a single line and that's going to do everything. It sounds like you go into a lot more detail. How do you structure your prompt so you get the best results?
Yeah, so usually I run a very clear structure. I state who they are. So set the identity of the AI first, so they know. Sometimes I also set who I am. Okay, so, for property investing, it's like, okay, you are an expert in property analysis. Okay, I am the property investor that has a portfolio. Okay, so that's the first thing, the identity. The next one is the context. What are we here for? Okay, so I've got a portfolio of 3 properties. They're earning me, 40 grand a year. They're in these areas. They're in these growth areas. My goal is to achieve financial freedom in the next 10 years on 3 grand a week. Okay, so that's context. Giving it what we're going to be talking about here. Okay, and then the last one is the task or the goal. Okay, so I'd like you to analyze my portfolio and find me areas where I can improve on. And then after we've gone through that, improve on. If you don't have enough information, please ask me enough questions so that you have enough information about my portfolio to provide me feedback on the question.
So do you go through an iterative process in creating the prompt? Because, you put the first prompt in, maybe not getting quite what you want. Do you go back and tweak it afterwards?
Yes, of course. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I did that, you do that all the time. And also I always ask it to ask me more questions. So that sort of clears up that prompt. And the other thing, because we use use the same prompt for our clients. So when we're analyzing a property, analyzing their portfolio, or looking at a purchase, they're all a chunky prompts that we've got them saved. So what we do is at the end of figuring out, okay, we've done an iterative process and figured out that that's the best prompt, and it might be in a whole thread. I just say, please summarize this prompt and minimize it,
Yeah.
so that it gives the same answer from what you've already provided me. And then it creates a prompt in its literally own language. It summarizes it, makes it shorter. Quite amazing.
So the process I'm hearing there is you create your initial prompt, then you get ChatGPT to improve you by asking you more questions, so you can feed it back into ChatGPT. And then when you've created the Uber prompt, for want of a better description, you then say, okay, now compress it so I can do the same thing in half the time. And
yes.
You get the results that you want.
Yes. Yeah, they call them super prompts and minifying. These are some new terms that I've just been learning about.
That's a new phrase. That's a great phrase. Minifying. I like that.
Minifying it. Because once you get over that 4,000 character limit, you've got to minify it so it shrinks up so you can add more data.
Understood. And do you use are you using ChatGPT 4, or are you still doing all this with 3.5, the free version?
All in 4. Yeah. All in 4. Yeah. Look, to analyze, because the property market is now and you need data now, ChatGPT September 2021, it's got old data. Okay. So I need access to current data. So we've got spreadsheets of suburbs, portfolio data, government spends, school areas, growth areas, and all that sort of stuff that we plug into ChatGPT using either the code interpreter or an API to actually bring it up to date on the information that we need to provide.
So by doing that, you're getting everything bang up to date, because as you say, you've got that cutoff point, September 2021. You've got data that you trust from sources that you've made available to it, which I think is very, very important. And it gets away from potentially some of the hallucinations that ChatGPT can come up with.
No.
Oh, tell us more. Tell us more about that.
No. In all of our methods of procedures, our SOPs, standard operating procedures, have human quality assurance checks throughout.
Yeah.
You cannot trust what it comes out with. Do never cut and paste it or make any decisions on that space without having a human interaction looking at it, an expert in property investing or whatever area you're working in. That's a big danger. It does hallucinate. It does make things up. It's a predictive language, as you know, and it's just predicting what it thinks should be the next word, next sentence.
So this is really interesting, because so many people out there that have seen their first experience of ChatGPT go, hey, I can do all these amazing things. And then they trip up. They trip up bad. Have you run into any of these situations yourself? I mean, have you run into any shockers where, you saw hallucinations and went, oh man, that is just like terrible. If I'd have gone with that, I would have been in big trouble.
Couple, definitely. The funniest one was last night when I put my son onto the multi-choice question bot. And he gave me a yell, because now I don't have to stand over him and help him with I can go and have a cup of tea. So I was out in the kitchen and I hear, Dad, what's going on? And I come in and he's like, have a look at this. So I'm looking at the prompt and I'm like, okay, you got the answer wrong. What's wrong with that? He goes, no, have a look. He goes, yeah, the response from chat, he put in C, and it goes, no, wrong answer. C is not the right answer. The right answer is C, and then gave a detailed explanation of it all.
But of course, and then ChatGPT said, well, the reason that I got this wrong was because Dax gave me a bad prompt in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be right, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's like, don't blame blame the human, should we say?
Yeah. Bad input out, bad input in, bad output out.
Yeah. Garbage in, garbage out. That old classic.
That's it.
Are there any plugins that you use with GPT-4?
Yeah, look, the PDF ones are great, but I don't really need to use that much anymore because the code interpreter. We're looking at doing our own plugins for some of the data sources, not only our own internal databases, but some of the databases we can tap into about all the real estate data. But we're already paying for that data and we've got API access into it. So we're looking at using ChatGPT to help us write the API prompt so we can get that data. And they're pretty much the biggest ones we're using for property investing as a whole. There's a couple of others that we're looking at. The biggest one I use is Zapier.
Yes.
I find that is the most easiest to use. If you're not great, if you're not techie at all, Zapier can be an easy way to get into it. And I can give you an easy example. I can get chats. So in my CRM, somebody clicks on an inquiry, or for my book that's coming up, the property investing with ChatGPT. If they join the wait list, it actually sends a message to Zapier, and Zapier's got the prompt in it that says, this person has just clicked on the wait list. Please create a nice, friendly, informative prompt response to say, your free 7 ways of harnessing AI using for smarter property investing is on your way. Check here, click the link. That sends it off to ChatGPT. ChatGPT sends the answer back, and then Zapier pushes it back to the CRM, and then it sends it out by an SMS.
Very, very nice. So Zapier is one I've heard and I've seen used in lots of smart ways, and it's one of the best plugins and tools out there, in my humble opinion. And it sounds like you're using it for some pretty cool stuff as well. So the plugin that you're creating, will you be just using it yourself, or will you potentially market it to other investment companies around the world?
Yeah, look, the first step is to use it internally. It's like what we've done. One of the reasons why I started the book was that, firstly, over December, Christmas, I deep dived into ChatGPT, started building prompts for my business, property investing for clients. Then I implemented it with all my staff, and my staff productivity went through the roof. Like, I have 5 staff. I have now literally got 10 to 15 staff, and I haven't hired any more people. The volume, the output, the customer service satisfaction's gone up because they put all their emails into ChatGPT to make it nicer and friendly and more informative, and action lists and all this sort of stuff. So we've been doing that for, what is it now, 8 months, 9 months. And it was in June when I said, I need to get this out to my clients. So we started doing prompts for clients. So when they sign up to us, one of the first steps is understanding their position.
Okay.
So, how much money have they got, what their salary is, what their goals are, all this sort of stuff. So I set up a series of prompts so I can send them a chat conversation from ChatGPT. They can fill all of that out and then send that chat back to me or one of my staff, and all the data's there for us to get them to the next stage, which is understanding their 10, 15-year plan for financial freedom.
You said something a little earlier, which I find really interesting as well. One of the common rebukes to AI will take all our jobs is, no, somebody using AI will take your job. And it sounds like you have really grasped hold of AI. And as you say, you've essentially increased the amount of people working for you. And it's a force multiplier, for want of a better description. But it's also no different from when people first started using computers, or used fax machines, or whatever the tool might be. How do you position people, both in your own industry or just generally, to embrace AI and get away from some of the fears that exist?
Yeah, Richard, it's a really, really interesting question at the moment, because I think there was a poll that came out around Australia that 83% of businesses in Australia want to ban ChatGPT. I think that's crazy.
That's a stunning number.
Yeah. And I really, like you said at the start, it just may be the fear of the unknown. Or what I think might it be is that, productivity goes up, everyone's working at home, So that means they can do the same amount of work in half the time. So they'll just keep the productivity level and go and work in their garden, or,
so better work-life balance potentially.
Exactly.
A bit more surfing. That 9 minutes won't be too much of a problem anymore.
Bit more surfing. I'd love that. So look, I mean, the things that I look at, and I am talking to some HR companies around this, because it is a passion of mine, and I've seen what happens with my team. As long as they've got the right methodologies and procedures in place, they can really make sure that it's controlled, it's managed, and it's quality checked. Okay, so that's the first step. You really want to have your steps in place at each stage that a human's actually stepped in and checked this stuff. It's just too dangerous not to, and it could be disastrous for your business.
And that's, I think that's a really interesting point, a very important point as well. Yeah, great tools, but it does still need that experience, that human touch, to give that polish and potentially that level of protection that things can slip out. Like you say, the example with your son and the questions, he answered with answer C, and ChatGPT said, no, C is wrong. The answer is C. I mean, okay. Is this some strange Mr. Miyagi type thing going on here? There's something confusing, and it's a reference that both you and I will get, no doubt. Anyway, but the question I've got to ask you, if there was one piece of advice that people took away from this conversation today, what would it be?
I think we've gone over it a fair bit, but it's just a warning that, one, the tool is a tool. Okay, so if you put a very simple prompt in, you get a very simple answer out. So having more understanding, asking it questions is very important, and have that. You're going to be on a learning curve. This is not just going to be put in front of you and you're going to build amazing things. So there is a learning curve there. But also be just aware of the dangers. That's the biggest thing. The danger is not what the media is saying, not what everyone's scared about, that they're going to take all our jobs and there's going to be Terminator and stuff like that. That general AI, from my understanding, is a long, long way, like us getting to Mars and living on Mars. The narrow AI right now is single-focused, self-driving, or ChatGPT. So just be aware of the limitations and dangers of it. Limitations, it hasn't got any data from September 21 to now. Okay, so that's the first one. Be aware. So if you go, what's the property median price of, Brisbane City? It'll say, don't know. Or it might give you a fake answer.
Well, give you an answer that would have been great in 2021, but maybe not so much now.
Correct. We've had a massive rise since then. So, we've got lack of a whole lot of data. And then just make sure you read it, and, make sure that if you're an expert in the area that it's teaching you the right things. And if you're not an expert in that area, and I'll give you an example. I was reading a property development contract. There was one clause that I didn't really understand. I hadn't seen it before. I put that into ChatGPT and had a conversation around it. I said, you are an expert Australian lawyer in property development. Please give me some comments, advice around this point. And we had a bit of a conversation, probably 15-minute conversation. I didn't know it was true or not. I'm not an expert in that field. But what I did do, it got me up to a certain level of knowledge that I could ring my lawyer and have a good conversation with him. So I only needed to spend about 10 minutes with him, clarifying what I'd learned, asking him some assumptions. Even at the same time while I was talking to him, I was chatting, putting ChatGPT in.
Typing very quietly.
Yeah. So if you don't have the knowledge in the area that you're playing with in ChatGPT, find an expert that does. Okay.
So it's not a cheap replacement for lawyers or any other skill set. It is great to build up some base knowledge, but not a replacement for those roles that are out there.
No, we will be AI-assisted humans. And that's sort of that ethical side of things that, I won't touch on too much, but I'm really passionate about looking at how we can tag what has AI created and what has a human created and what is AI-assisted created. And I think I think governments and defense, which I've worked in both extensively, are very keen to understand how we can tag these things, either be images, text, video, like us. Are we human right now? You know, we've got no tags. We don't know. You could be an AI I'm talking to. May in a couple of years, probably will be. You know, so how do we tag it? How do we do that so that we can go, okay, you know, I give you an example. You call up a call center, you've got an issue with your internet, okay? If you have an AI that knows the whole database, knows all the issues, ins and outs, even the edge cases and all that sort of stuff, and they can answer you instantaneously on those millions of different issues, would that be better for you than somebody who needs to look it up on a normal based Google system to try and find the issue?
That's a very good point. There's a great recording out there, if you find it, of a Tesla sale, and it is an AI system, and it talks to the person, and it's really quite impressive. It's not quite there yet, but I think it would fool a lot of people. So
sales is a very murky area. Customer service, great. I'd get on an AI and just say, give me my answer. I don't want you to Google it and try and find it. You've got the answer, done, finish. Sales, I still like that person interaction, like podcasts.
Absolutely.
You know, I think it's very important that you're, you know, looking to invest in a product or something like that, to really be talking to someone. And I would like to know if I'm talking to an AI or not.
And I definitely think there is. So I was going to say that there definitely is always going to be something about, hey, I really want to talk to a real person. And I think that's going to be super important going forward.
Yeah, I think that's that's one warning. I think sooner or later we'll be picking up the phone going, are you a human or are you AI? And there has to be rules around it that they have to not lie.
I'll be honest with you, Jax. I actually ask that question now. If there's a text chatbot, I always ask, are you human or are you AI? And thankfully, a lot of them already say, hey, I am a chatbot. But then other times they're trying to be a little bit more murky about it. So yes, I definitely I'm a little careful with that. But hey, Dax, that's been a great conversation. Where can people find you, and what have you got on the horizon? Sounds like a great book coming out.
Yes, Richard. Look, everyone, you can find me on my website, Dax, dax.com.au. So that's everything's on there. The book's on there as well. So you know, I've been writing the book for the last sort of 3 months now, and it'll be finished at the end of this month, going to publication. You know, real estate investing with ChatGPT. It takes you through understanding AI, understanding ChatGPT, the issues, the risks, everything that we've literally talked about, taking you through from your, you know, I've got a Keystone Property Investment Accelerator program that's now got ChatGPT enabled, but I've put it in the book so you can actually see how we help our clients go from where they are, where they want to be, their goals, aspirations, how to prepare for the first purchase, how to negotiate, close a sale, and then how to prosper from the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. So I'm really excited to get that one out. It's got a whole lot of prompts that you can use. So if you get the Kindle version, you can cut and paste it straight in.
Nice.
If you go to Dax, DAX, Delta Alpha X-ray.com.au, you can reserve your spot in there. You'll get some free prompts. You'll get 7 ways to harness AI. It's really exciting time. I'm redefining property investing. And it's, you know, in this new age of AI, it's not Australian only based, it's worldwide based. You know, you can ask these questions, these prompts wherever you are. So yeah, really looking forward to everyone jumping on board. And you know, you can't, you know, yeah, it's really exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
It sounds like an amazing project. But Dax, thank you for your time today, and thank you for a great conversation.
Richard, it's been an absolute pleasure. I love your podcast, and I look forward to listening to it more.
Thank you. Well, that's a wrap on another awesome guest episode for the Evolvepreneur AI Advantage Show. Just before you go, if you like this episode, we would be very grateful for a 5-star review. Please also consider recommending the show to a friend or two. Make sure you subscribe for future episodes at aiadvantage.show right now. Until next time, I'm Richard Wray, and if you're an entrepreneur, get the AI advantage today.